Hello, everybody. You have tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers with the Indiana State Police Indianapolis District Public Information Office. We are brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance each and every week and their subsidiary, the Cops for Kids. We thank them for their continued support of our show. And we thank Tom Trial for putting us on each and every week on YouTube. And we thank Captain Dave Burston for being here today.
Thank you, Rich. It's good to be here.
It is good to be here. It's good to be alive in Central Indiana on this wonderful day here in June. We appreciate you coming in. You haven't been here for a while.
I have not. And I know that the road show has been in good hands since
you passed it off, since you passed the torch.
Passing the torch, and you've improved upon it. You know, taking it to the great YouTube links.
Yeah, syndication is next.
Couldn't do it without Tom.
Couldn't do it without Tom. Tom is our man behind the curtain, buddy. I mean, he keeps us going each and every week, and each and every week he has something new that he's trying out, and some new camera design or something. So it's interesting. So it's great to have this going the way we're going with it, and I'm really excited. And I'm excited what we're going to do today. It's something that's kind of been controversial.
It has been, and not because of anything we did in law enforcement, but people's perception and people's reality, and somewhere in between the two shall meet, and hopefully we'll understand. And we're going to try and give clarification to that. So I'll let you tell them what we're going to clarify.
And that kind of the way it is with law enforcement a lot of times, or with anything, what actually is, and what is said and what actually is, and then they meet in the middle and they kind of come up. But we're going to talk about the new left lane law.
Yes.
And how that operates, what it actually says, and how it actually is designed to work. And I know a lot of people, when they heard this, and I was there when they were actually having discussion in the legislature about this, and even the legislatures were saying, you mean if somebody comes up behind me going 80 miles an hour, I'm going to get the ticket because they're behind me and they need to get out of the way, or I need to get out of the way? And there was probably an hour or more debate on this and how it went. And it's not actually what it's designed to do, is it, Dave?
No, not at all. And I think the best place to start our conversation is for anybody that travels on a regular basis, and I don't mean in Indiana, but people that travel across our nation probably are familiar that over half of the states in our nation have a left lane law. And to put it super succinctly, I wish we could end the program with just saying this: pass left, drive right. Mm-hmm. And that really pretty much sums it all up. But we'll go into the discussion of what if the moon were made of green cheese, would blue rats eat it?
Right.
So we'll talk about those things. So
this law, let's get it started. When does it take effect first?
It goes in effect July 1st of this year.
Okay.
And while there's been no official statement, I think most police agencies, and I'm going to say most state police officers, and it's going to be up to the discretion of the law enforcement officer that observes a violation. But I think the vast majority will probably be giving verbal or written warnings unless the violation is so egregious. And what do I mean by egregious? If somebody's hanging out in the left lane, driving below the posted speed limit, they're probably going to get a ticket. Yeah,
or something that maybe I've heard on the radio before, put out as dispatch. I'm sure you have, or maybe even experienced, where two semis get beside each other and travel and travel and travel and travel.
Yep. And while we don't know if they're really doing it on purpose, now it's not an issue whether they're doing it on purpose or not. One of them needs to either slow down and let the other one pass, or the other one needs to pass, speed up and pass, or slow down and fall back in behind that other semi. And really, you hit on a key point that what is this law designed for? The textbook example is two vehicles driving side by side on a two-lane interstate, and as far as the eye can see in front of the two of them, there are no vehicles.
Right.
And as far as the eye can see behind them, it's stacked up with cars that are in line, following bumper to bumper, trying to weave from lane to lane, wondering, what's going on up there. That creates the environment for a crash to occur. And if a crash can occur, at a minimum, we're talking about property damage, and in reality, at highway speeds of anywhere from 55 to 70 miles an hour, depending upon the interstate, we're talking about potential for injury or death.
So what exactly does the law state? Do you have the actual wording of what the law states?
Well, being the very well prepared person I am, I copied that stuff and I left it on the printer when I walked out of the office. I'm sure you're shocked to hear that, but I have because I was going to give the exact IC code, but that's in the age of Google, people can look it up. So I'm going to kind of abbreviate what it says.
Okay.
Basically, it says if you're on a 2 or more lane roadway, that you should be driving in the right lane. And if you're in the left lane, you should be passing and then moving back to the right lane. And if a vehicle comes up behind you at a speed greater than you're traveling, you should move to the right and let them move over. I think this is what brings the concern to what some of the state senators will bring up, the example, which I don't think is a fair example of saying, so I'm going 75 in a 70 and somebody comes up behind me at 90 miles an hour and I'm going to get the ticket.
Right.
No. If there's a city police officer, county police officer, or a trooper that sees that, they're likely going to be citing the car that was coming up at 90 miles an hour and then is following too close, trying to push you out of the way. That's who's going to get the ticket. We're not looking to cite people that are going the speed limit for driving in the left lane unless they're going the speed limit driving in the left lane side by side with other traffic. And that brings up another point, if I may.
Yeah. That
we're talking about the letter of the law and the spirit of the law.
Right.
And when we look at speed limits, we'll use interstate speed limits. In rural areas, interstate speed limits are typically 70 miles an hour, maybe 65. In populated urban environments, interstate speed limits are typically 55. Think about whether you live in Lake County and are listening to this, the speed limit's 55 on I-65.
Right.
You live in Marion County, the speed limit is 55 on 465 in the downtown portions of the I-65 and I-70. And right in the heart of downtown, the speed limit's actually 50
right.
and 40 for trucks. So I'll use what I'm most familiar with. Right now, on 465, do either one of us think that traffic is traveling at 55 miles per hour?
Yeah, sure it is, Dave. Yeah.
Maybe in your world. Traffic is typically flowing somewhere plus minus 65 miles an hour. Are state police officers pulling over everyone that's going over 55, going 60 to 65 and giving them tickets? Certainly not. Who's getting tickets on 465? People that are driving 70, 75, 80, 80 plus. Those are the ones that are getting tickets. We're looking at people that they're driving is so fast or so reckless, unsafe lane changes, following too close, abrupt movements, that they're creating the conditions for a crash to occur.
And that's what we're watching out for, the ones that are weaving in or out of traffic, following too close, being the aggressive driver, road rage, that type of incident. And that can lead up to that person driving on the bumper, riding up on traffic in the left lane, that can lead up to that exact thing that we're talking about.
And that's what we want to avoid. So it really comes back to, we are always trying to legislate common sense.
Exactly.
Because common sense seems to have left the majority of drivers.
Yeah. It seems like we are trying to tell them how to drive because they can't do it themselves.
We'll reflect back to when you first started learning to drive, and you talk to anybody that is over the age of 50, and they can talk to you and say, I remember when it was a given that if you saw a car pulled over on the side of the interstate, you automatically moved over to the next lane. And you just did that as a common sense courtesy to avoid a crash or potential of something happening, somebody getting out of that car. But over time, people stopped being courteous, and we had to legislate it with a move over law. It's a shame, but it's a statement to society as a whole.
Well, again, my host is Captain Dave Burston with the Public Information
You're
Office.
The host. I'm the guest.
My guest
I'm here
is
to
Captain
keep you
Dave
straight.
Burston. That's right. And I'm the host, Sergeant Richard Myers, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids. And we're talking about the new left lane law that's being enacted July 1st here in Indiana. Not a new law around the nation. Other states have it. It was just something new here, kind of getting it out to the public, what's going to happen. Probably one thing that the public's focused on, I know that maybe is different and they shouldn't be focused on, is that fine. I know a lot of...
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because there's so much of the media story. Let me see if I can get the emphasis right. a $500 fine.
I've got it right here.
Well, here's a news flash using here's a breaking news information is infractions. Any infraction, whether it's speeding, a stop sign, crossing the double yellow line, the maximum fine for any infraction is $500. But those fines are set by the presiding judge of each county. And that presiding judge, some of them will set up a schedule. They'll say speeding under 25 miles an hour is a $200 fine. If it's more than 20 miles an hour over the speed limit of 26, it's a $300 fine. Some violations are they may say it's going to be $1 fine and court costs. And there's the other dirty little secret. The court costs are not part of the fine.
Exactly.
So you could end up with a $300 total payment. And when you look at the fine print, you find out the fine was $10 and the court cost was $290.
Yeah, I know. When I was writing tickets a lot in a local court, it was over $100 fine, and it was $1 fine, and the rest of it were court costs.
$99 court costs.
Yeah.
So with that discussion, what's the reality? The reality is that depending upon what county you're in Indiana, that presiding judge will say a left lane violation will be upon conviction. The fine is going to be X, and that fine could be anywhere from 1 cent to $500.
Right. So one thing we haven't talked about, maybe that we ought to clarify also, is this for 2-lane roads only?
No, it's for 2 lanes or more.
Okay. So 465,
which has anywhere from 3 to 5 lanes.
Right.
If back to how we started the program.
Yeah.
Pass left, drive right.
Exactly.
And if you're on a 5-lane interstate driving right, you've got 4 lanes to choose from. If you need to pass somebody, move to that far left lane, make your safe, judicious pass, move back over to one of those other 4 lanes.
And that's something that I think a lot of people maybe don't realize, that it's for left lane is for passing only. But also, there are some exemptions for that too in there. A couple of exemptions.
Yeah, there are some exemptions, and off the top of my head, and I had that on my cheat sheet that I forgot.
Well, I know
one of them is weather,
right?
Weather related. Another one is if there's a crash.
Exiting.
Yeah, there are left lane exits. There are some on 465. There are some left lane exits on other primary interstates. Those are your exceptions.
And like you said, a crash.
Yeah.
But also law enforcement doing their job is exempt, because a lot of times we have to travel in that lane to run radar to
yes,
get somewhere that we're going or something. We're working over that lane. So I think it says maybe emergency vehicles, law enforcement.
I believe you're correct.
Are exempt on that also. Yeah. So one thing to look up, exactly, go to Google, look up the left lane law. There's plenty, I've looked it up here while we're talking, there's plenty of media stories on this.
There's probably commentary too. and sadly, in some of the media stories, take what you're saying. Media in general, they do a good job of putting out the information, but they have to do it in a very concise format in what you and I refer to as sound bites, and sometimes they're not getting the full depth of the information. Best thing is just to look up Indiana law and read the law for yourself. And you don't have to be an attorney to read the law. It pretty much spells out the do's and don'ts.
And that you can go to the IC code, just type Indiana left lane law, and it's going to bring it up here on Google, is what I did with all the media and also the law itself. But it's pretty self-explanatory what it does. I appreciate you coming in today.
Well, Rich, I always appreciate the invitation to come back. It lets me know that you don't hate me, and that I really love what you've done with the show. Here's my love me statement to you, and I'd say this whether we were on radio or on YouTube or not. I like what you've done, the changes you've made. Tom Trial should from now on be called the Wizard of Oz.
He is.
For what he does.
He is
to
the
put
wizard.
this out there.
He is the wizard, and not a lot of people know that he has his own balloon that he flies back and forth here from Kansas.
Better than a broomstick.
Well, again, you've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers, with my guest, Captain Dave Burston from the Public Information Office. We appreciate you being here with us today. We've been talking about the left lane law and how it affects come July 1st, so be prepared for it. We'd like to thank the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids. We are done for today. Roadshow out.